colleagues that are here today. With that, I'd like to invite my colleague, Michael Alt, Executive Director of the Downtown Sacramento Partnership, to speak.
Thank you. Good morning. You know, this is an opportunity that really focuses on leadership. When cities look to evolve, and we've seen this across the U.S., many cities have added this position really to help them understand the unique challenges that evolve around nighttime economy. You know, we want people to feel good about their experience coming downtown. We want people to feel good about enjoying the many amenities that take place in this city. You know, we've invested a tremendous amount as a community. When you look at the investment over the years with the Golden One Center, with the Convention Center, this weekend coming up alone, we're going to see Aftershock flood the streets of this community and this city with people coming from out of town to celebrate everything that this community is about. And we want to make sure the work that we're doing is balanced by many of these nighttime venues in a way that is positive for everybody. You know, cities learn, and cities' identities are based on what takes place in their urban cores. We want this community to have a special designation when you take a look at the central city. This is about entertainment, it's about fun, it's about special experiences, and people look to the downtown to really complement in the central city as a way to complement those expectations. And so this opportunity for this position is not just for the downtown core. This is a citywide issue that is going to be led by a dynamic individual that has been a partner with the business community for a long time. You heard the mayor, you heard Emily talk a little bit about Tina. Tina has worked with the business community for years, and we have worked with her to not only problem solve, but creatively work with our partners at law enforcement in a way to not just manage, but in a way to really proactively look at how we are treating our customers, treating our businesses. We've got tourism that is a huge part of this. People are coming back and returning to their offices. We've got conventions that are coming back in. We need to make sure we're doing our part to allow people to have a good, positive, safe experience. Tina is going to be a great champion. We could not be more fortunate for our city manager, for our mayor, for our council to have had the leadership to put this together. Along with law enforcement, this will play a role in helping to manage what we are very excited is a dynamic future for all of us. So please help me and join me in welcoming Tina Leibovitz to the podium.
So good morning. I have to say, usually when I get a promotion with the city, it's just a folder on my chair. So this is a little bit different. I want to start by thanking the mayor and council for recognizing the need for this position to support our nighttime businesses and protect the quality of life for our residents. I also want to thank the city manager for appointing me to this important new role in our city. And last but definitely not least, I want to thank the business community for their support for this position. As the nighttime economy manager, I'll continue working closely with our entertainment team, which includes code, fire, and police. And I want to make sure everyone understands that this isn't something new. We've been a leader in terms of how we've managed our nightlife. We've had cities such as Seattle, Washington, D.C., Dallas, and Austin reach out to us and ask us how we manage our nightlife. I want to enhance that relationship as well as continue to grow the relationships we have with other city agencies, our business partners, and the community to collaboratively address issues facing our entertainment and our nighttime economy. There are several initial priorities I've identified. As Emily mentioned, it's very important that we conduct a study on nightlife in the hospitality sector to quantify its economic impact. We also need to review our current entertainment ordinance to ensure it addresses current trends as well as safety and livability concerns. I'll also be reaching out to businesses and neighborhoods to learn more about their concerns and get their feedback and recommendations. Gathering information from stakeholders is going to be important so I can develop a strategic plan to determine the best approach to move forward. I'm also going to utilize my membership in NIGHTCAP, a network of professionals in comparable positions throughout the nation who are responsible for nighttime economy advocacy, planning, and management. Through this alliance, I've already learned a lot of new ideas and practical solutions for the issues facing our city. So I look forward to taking on this new challenge, but I also look forward to identifying the many opportunities that are out there to ensure that Sacramento continues to provide a safe, festive, and successful nightlife for not only our visitors, but our residents. Thank you.
Yes, this is a heck of a first day for Ms. Tina here, but we're super excited to be here. You know, as the mayor said, the Central City is a vibrant place, and I'm Councilmember Katie Valenzuela. I represent this area, and I work with the entire city team to one degree or another. But there's always a couple of staff that you end up working with a lot based on what happens in your district. One is Captain Ethan Hansen, who oversees our Central City. I swear, if you looked at our phone log, you would see that there are quite a few calls between him and his team on issues in the Central City. But the next is Tina. Tina has been an invaluable partner to us as we've strove not just to react to instances when they occur, but to also be proactive. Think about environmental design, security measures, different strategies and capacity building we could do to make sure our Central City businesses are doing the best that they can and that patrons are able to enjoy the amazing nightlife that is all over the city. And as it continues to evolve, just this last weekend, I'm driving around my neighborhood, you saw Porch Fest going on, where you had concerts on patios, you had people in the parks doing sporting events, doing barbecues, you had all sorts of events happening, and this is before we think about big events like Aftershock. This is a complex and evolving industry, and to have somebody who can dedicate their time and energy to building relationships, being proactive, and thinking strategically about how we grow this in a way that's best for all of us is going to be a huge win for our city. So it was a no-brainer when the businesses and when the Howard Chan, our city manager, approached us to suggest this position, and Tina is absolutely the right choice for this. I cannot wait to see what we can accomplish together as we work to continue to make our Central City as great as it possibly can be. And thank you all today for coming to celebrate the beginning of what will be an amazing term for our new nighttime economy manager. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to invite up the police chief, our own Kathy Lester, here to share her thoughts.
Thank you, Mayor. Hello, I'm Kathy Lester. I'm your chief of police. Everyone up here, I think, has demonstrated how important this position is for our city. But I'd really like to recognize what an evolution this is. You have heard me speak a number of times about the importance of shared safety and how that is a community responsibility. What you have here is an amazing partnership. You have Ms. Tina Lee-Voigt, who is going to be amazing for us. I can say that I've had the opportunity to work with her for over a decade in helping move our nighttime economy forward, and she is an excellent choice for the position. But we can't do it alone. The police department nor the city can't do it without the cooperation and without the input from our community partners, and they're all standing behind me. So when I talk about community safety being a shared responsibility, this is an excellent example of what that means. And I do know that with this partnership, with the work that our area captain, Captain Ethan Hansen, is doing, all of our business partners in the city, we are going to see an amazing evolution as we move forward, and Sacramento is a wonderful, wonderful city, and this will really demonstrate our ability to work together and to promote an excellent and really vibrant nightlife, which every city needs, not only for its own identity, but certainly for its residents and certainly for its visitors, so that we can move forward and continue to grow. Thank you.
Two music festivals over the next 2 weekends. Mike, visit Sacramento. You're so right. Whoever said, I think it was Councilmember Valenzuela, it's the big stuff, and then it's the every night activity that's happening, that's spontaneous, that is neighborhood based, and it's the combination that makes this Central City so much fun. And we want to make sure that fun and safe go together. We'd be happy to answer any of your questions.
What are some of the ideas you said you've learned already?
Why don't you take them?
You said you learned some ideas already from other, networking with some of your members in the professional organization. What are some of your ideas going forward?
Well, some of the ideas they had were some issues related to sound management. One of the issues that we really face, especially in our Central City, as we try to move people in, is that we're moving them into spaces where we already have existing entertainment happening. And so there are some really good strategies for addressing sound management. there are a lot of different issues related to safety. So it's really realizing that safety is, as Chief Lester said, a community concern. So it's trying to figure out how you set up those collaborations and setting up some tools. There's some technology that we put into place. For example, we were a leader in the development of scanners and having those be a really useful tool, and looking at other tools we can use for our entertainment venues that can help patrons feel safe, but it can also be a good tool for police in terms of addressing issues after they occur.
I'm sorry, scanners, what do you mean?
We have ID scanners that we have for our venues, and one of the things that's really great for those is that it really allows businesses to kind of monitor who's coming into the venue. It's been a really great tool for our police in terms of being able to identify folks after incidents occur, and that's one of the tools that we've used pretty well.
Oh, I see. So in other words, you like show your driver's license or other
Correct.
ID, and is there a mandatory rule requiring that now, or?
It's a case-by-case basis in terms of how we use that tool.
But you're encouraging businesses to use them as ID scanners?
Yeah, and it's amazing. I think that folks would really be amazed at how often our businesses are really the leaders in terms of security. They usually implement things before we require them.
Oh, but that would be, could there be a requirement for these scanners?
There's something that we already put in our conditions, but again, it's a case-by-case basis, because one of the things that's really important to note is that when you're managing something, when you talk about 80 venues, they're as big as over 1,000 occupancy and as small as 100. So you really can't have a one-size-fit-all approach. So we really try to look at the situation. We look at how many people are within an entertainment district before we put something in place. But there are a number of different tools. I use scanners, but there's so many other things that we use in terms of training for our security staff, in terms of communication, collaboration, and making sure that our businesses work collaboratively together. So there's a lot of different tools that we have in our toolbox to address safety within our entertainment districts.
You talked about sound, so you mean like complaints from residents who might feel it's too noisy or conflicting sound?
Sound management. So what we have is we have neighbors who will move into an area where there might be a long-standing business. And so what we really need to address is how do we have kind of harmonious living? So we don't want businesses to close down, but we also want to make sure that folks, when they move in, can enjoy their living space. So it's really trying to figure out what's the best way to implement a program so that we can address the issue of sound management so that it's not an impact for the neighbors, but also realizing that if you move next to a club, you've moved next to a club.
Sure. What rules are there now or not really?
Right now, again, we have some different requirements in terms of sound. We have different things in our conditions that we put in place that businesses have to do to address sound, such as keeping their doors closed, their hours. Again, it's really important to understand that all of these different businesses are in different areas. And some of our businesses are in areas where it's commercial and there is no impact. Some of our businesses are in areas where there's a lot of residents. So we really try to address each issue on a case-by-case basis to make sure that that solution is appropriate for that problem.
Are there hours for these permits or?
Yeah, I'd be happy to kind of go over in more detail kind of what we do in terms of our entertainment conditions and how we regulate those.
I think one of the things, good questions sort of prompt for me, is I do think what we're going to want to do is let Tina get her feet under her in this job and then come back to the city council within, say, a month and have a report on all of this, right? Because there's a question, the question you're asking, which I have this sort of the same question, should there be uniformity in terms of security procedures, or do we want to, allow each of the businesses to determine what is their own best form of security? And I think that these are good questions, and I think transparency is important. So why don't we come back in a month and we'll answer all these in a public session, in a way that doesn't jeopardize any security by saying things that, those who are maybe want to engage in bad activity would know and take advantage of. But that's what we'll do.
Mayor Steinberg?
Yes.
Madison?
Hi, Madison.
CBS 13.
Great to see you.
Great to see you. So I do have a question on the uniformity.
Yeah.
I was told that Downtown and Midtown Association, so this might be through Michael, are already working on something when it comes to active shooter training for every bar in the downtown core or some kind of uniformity. Can we speak to that, if that's true or not, what that looks like right now?
Go ahead, Michael.
I mean, we're both, and not to speak for Midtown, but I think we're all working with our individual clubs and night venues. You know, Captain Hansen and his team really have been focused with us and making sure that we're prepared. You know, we want to know who to communicate when something does happen. What are the responsibilities of the club to not only manage the patrons that are there, but yes, we're absolutely having discussions with our nighttime venues. You know, when there are issues, how to respond, who to call. And do that, you know, as much as we can get prepared ahead of time and be proactive. Proactive, I think it's helpful. So absolutely.
I think Michael covered it well. What I might just add is the question is: are we already doing trainings? Absolutely. Are we already coordinating, collaborating? Absolutely. This position is not, you know, a knee-jerk reaction to something that isn't happening. It's meant to sort of look at our city as maturing and realizing that this is a broader issue than just one business association needs to be managing. It's bigger than the police department, like you heard from the captain. We really all need to be working in tandem. And what that looks like is from the person who's security at the door of a club, to the organizations that manage certain parts of the city, to the city council when they set policy, to how we just overall govern our economic development strategy for the city based on data on how these clubs are generating all the things that are positive for our city. All of those need to be in a cohesive fashion. So many of them are happening already. This is just an opportunity to actually create capacity at the city to potentially standardize, but more than anything to kind of force multiplier across the board.
Yeah, I would say elevating best practices is always the right thing to do. And that's why organizing ourselves in this way so that we can elevate best practices. And if it's appropriate to require best practices, then that's something that Tina, the police chief, and the business community and the elected officials will consider together, and again, in a transparent way. Any other questions? Yes? No? Okay, sir. Okay, Mr. Jones. Well, so let's. I mean, I'm going to. Let me answer the question you asked about the social condition. We all know that's part of the challenge here. We do have an opportunity now, and we're in very significant discussions with our county partners to try to bring more mental health and substance abuse resources to the streets. Because, frankly, the police department doesn't want to be in the homeless business, and they shouldn't be. We make them, we do, the first and last resort for everything. And through our Department of Community Response, and what I hope will be a robust partnership with the county around their mental health and substance abuse services, their outreach, together, we'll be able to finally make a visible and tangible difference in our central city. That's what we endeavor to do. Thanks so much, everybody, for coming. Appreciate it.